y'all.
This is Dee.
And this is Shelby.
And we're from Bitch Please. Welcome back to another episode. Woo. This is episode 53. Yeah.
Sure.
No? Yeah. This is episode 53.
I love that.
It's going to be a heavier episode.
It is very heavy.
So if you're not wanting to hear heavy shit because life is heavy, then we understand. And you can tune into the next episode in which we will just be talking shit and joking and laughing.
Yeah.
But this episode is going to be about the sterilization of women, and specifically Black and brown women.
Yes.
So before we get into that heaviness, how are your screws?
They're okay. Yeah. They're a little slow today. It's been a emotional day.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Yeah. I'm here. How are your screws?
No, I get it. My screws are not bad. I had my last infusion today.
Ooh.
And I'm a little sad.
Aww.
Because the teams that have been like working with me and all of that, they've been great.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of
sad.
I'm going to miss them.
Aww.
So, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But look at that. It's a new journey.
It is a new journey.
On to the next new thing.
On to the next new thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works.
Hopefully
Hopefully it works.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Well, do we want to do nail cam?
Oh,
because
yeah,
your nails are dope as shit.
Yeah. Let's do nail cam.
All right. So we be out here getting our nails done, and we just want to show y'all. Deidre's look really cool though.
All right. So nail cam. I don't know if y'all can see.
I got plain little lavender color, and I did my toes, and yeah, my toes do not match my nails though, and it makes me a little
It's in the ballpark.
It's kind of there. It's kind of there. You know what? I do want to add something.
Sure.
You know what? I'm gonna save it till the end because it's kind of funny.
Okay. So are you gonna remember it?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna say it right now. Yeah, I'm gonna say it right now. I started a feet page.
I did not know that's what you were going to put out.
I started a feet page. I have really pretty feet and really pretty toes, and a lot of people have told me that. And I said, fuck it. So I started a feet page.
She does have really pretty feet. So
I do.
But I don't even like feet.
I started a feet page. It's kind of wild, this little community that's out here. First of all, it's wild. It's wild. But my shit's grown very quickly. Very quickly. I mean, I started it like less than a week ago.
Yeah, you did, and you've got a lot of followers.
I got a lot of followers. Yeah. I got a lot. And that's been kind of wild. That's been new for me.
Yeah.
That's been new. So I just wanted to let people know that if you feel like you got pretty feet, ugly feet, or you feel like you got some type of feet where people just really want to be out here and see it, go ahead and make you a page. Don't get scammed.
Don't get scammed.
But go ahead and make you a page. But it was cool. It's been a very interesting little journey the past few days.
That is so funny. I'm glad you did it, girl. You've been talking about it, so I'm definitely glad that you did it.
And I've been out here. I literally did like a whole little feet show in the sauna the other day at the gym.
We had a whole photo shoot the other day of her little tootsies. It was so funny. But look, I don't take good pictures of her, like when we're just taking pictures going out. But you want some artistic photos?
She really did her thing.
I can do that.
One of the photos that kind of blew up, she took, and it looked good.
Thanks.
It looked good. Okay, she's you might be my little. She's an artiste. She's gonna be my little photographer.
Photographer.
It's okay. That's where we at in life.
Yeah, girl.
That's where we at.
Did I do anything exciting? Have I done anything exciting? No, I've just been kind of dying for the last couple of days.
Yeah, girl.
So, now for the seriousness. Before we get into, so when we're talking about the sterilization of women, we are talking about the forced, the coerced, or the sterilization without their knowledge of women, and children.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean when we're talking about sterilization, because me and Shelby both have opted to be sterilized. So, and
we were fully informed. We were fully informed.
Yeah, we consented. We were fully informed. It sounds really weird when you say it like that, though.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's what it is, but hearing like sterilization sounds wild.
Yeah.
It sounds wild.
We are sterile.
We are sterile. But before we can talk about what has been going on and specifically with Black and brown women and children, we have to talk about eugenics, which talks about how this all kind of came to be.
Yeah.
So eugenics is pretty much the idea that you could create like the perfect people based off of your genetics, in that you have people who were deemed unfit when it came to their mental capacities, their physical abilities, if they had any disabilities, or if they were deemed, what do they call it? They use a term so much, and I cannot think of the term right now. Oh, feeble-minded. Yes. So if you were like feeble-minded, they were like, we need the greatest of the greatest folks. But the people who came up with this whole idea, or the person who came up with this whole idea, was Charles Darwin, half cousin. Mm-hmm. And homie was like, this natural selection thing, I don't know, it don't sound right to me. I kind of think we should be able to select and make, superhumans in essence. Yeah. And so his name was Francis Galton. Yeah. So about in the 1883s or so, he was like, yeah, let's we're going to figure this out.
Yeah. And I mean, basically it was to breed the fit and weed out the unfit, which was basically poor and non-whites.
Yeah. And so that starts popping off in the late, the late 1800s. Mm-hmm. 1900s pop along. About 1900s pop along, and it's kind of widespread. Eugenics is like, people are like, yeah, eugenics is actually kind of a cool thing. It gets to America, America's like, ooh, eugenics.
U.S. was doing it right. U.S. was like, we are going to really dive into this eugenics shit.
They dove in so hard that Germany was like, hey, y'all.
Yeah, they popped up in here
y'all
and they was like,
some real great things over here. We're going to kind of like, we like what you're doing. We're going to steal this whole operation. Not steal. We're going to take it, try to perfect it, and we're going to take it over there. And boy, did they.
And boy, did they with World War II.
Did they.
They got that from us.
they went hard.
They did.
They made that shit infamous.
They really did.
By performing mass genocide.
Yeah. So, and the U.S. just quietly was like, yeah, we didn't do that. That was just them. They did that.
Which is so funny because you don't ever hear about that.
No, you don't.
Which is,
that's because the U.S. likes to censor their history.
Which is funny because I'm like, y'all did it. Just stand on it.
Just stand on
y'all
business.
Y'all love taking shit. Y'all love doing shit to people that's fucked up.
All the time.
You own it. It's okay.
Own it.
People have owned their shit as well. Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay.
But it's the thing that was really crazy about eugenics is the fact that they felt that you could really create somebody to be, the best quality of person. Yeah. And because these are white men, they're like, white is right.
Yeah.
That's what they felt.
Always.
White is right.
That's what they think. Yeah.
And they definitely discriminated based off of anything other than the purest of pure white. The thing that was funny in America, though.
Yeah.
It's actually really messed up. They felt that the Anglo-Saxon whites and the Nordics, that again here also white, were the best genetics to keep that going, to make it as pure, the strongest. Really? That's what they thought.
Anglo-Saxon whites were inbred whites. They were inbred. A majority of their genetics and that recessive gene that's so dominant occurs because their ancestry is from inbreeding.
They thought it would improve American society.
Yes.
Which is so funny when you think of inbreeding because people be fucked up.
Fucked up. Fucked up.
Real bad.
Some of these kings and queens, they were fucked up from being inbred. Cleft palates, club feet, hair, like all sorts of crazy shit. There was all sorts of crazy stuff that they had. Yeah. Skin issues, issues, mental issues. There was a lot of people who were mentally disabled.
Yeah.
Because of it.
And it's very sad.
Yeah.
It is very sad. But that's what they felt that was going to be the thing that brought Americans to be the greatest of the great.
Love that for us.
The wild thing is it was being done to everybody for the most part.
Yeah.
It was, it actually was being done to everybody for a small bit of time. And then they were like, women. We're going to do women. And then it became, black women, indigenous women, Puerto Rican women, Mexican women, Asian women.
Yeah, it was anybody that was not white.
Yeah, and poor white women.
Yeah, poor white women was also lumped into that.
The thing that was different, though, about them was it wasn't because of their race. It was just the fact that they were not in a good
it's because they were poor
socioeconomic status. That's it. It had nothing to do with their race.
Nothing their race. Yeah,
just because they weren't doing better in life.
They were poor.
Because they were like, how are you white and you're not doing great?
Yeah,
you have everything. Why are you not being out here great?
How dare you?
So
this is America.
This is America. You should be better.
You should be American.
So when you go into, so what I'm going to be talking about, well, let me finish this part. So the forced, coerced, or unknown sterilization of Black and brown women has been something that has been very visible since the 19th century. And there was this family, I think they were in Montgomery, these two little girls, Mary and I think her name, no, not Mary, Minnie and Alice. They were taken. They were surgically sterilized, and they were sent back on their way. And they have had very big issues since then.
Yeah.
They've had all types of things since then. And and the only reason, the reason that it happened is because it was a federal housing.
Yeah. That's tend to be where they target is government housing.
Yeah. And so they didn't get consent.
Yeah.
They didn't get anything. And that was something that was happening a lot. In the 70s, it was happening like real wild.
Yeah.
And they were just taking women and children and just sterilizing them, black and brown women and kids, taking them and sterilizing them, and not even either letting them get consent.
Yep.
Or anything, or just doing it just because.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the prison system.
Yeah.
There is this documentary that is called Belly of the Beast. Wow, I can't think. All right.
Yeah. It is. Excuse us ahead of time. We may cry. And you know what? I think I'm just going to let it happen if it does, because that's how sad this is. Because this is the history of women. This is the history of minority women specifically. And it needs to be told.
It's just, yes, it needs to be told. Mm-hmm. And it's just so fucked up because, everything that's going on in the country currently, it's very messed up. But it's like, this stuff isn't new.
It's not new.
Like, this is not a thing that is like a surprise or shock to anybody,
yeah,
because they've been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
The thing that I do find funny is that they were so pressed about sterilizing women, black and brown, poor, and now they want to have all the kids. Well, they're preventing people from being sterilized, and they're preventing people from getting abortions because they want those kids here, but they only want those kids here so they can contribute to society. But if they go to school, they're probably not going to make it because they don't. Anyway, neither here nor there.
Continue on.
I'm going to try my best.
It's okay. Girl, listen. Me too. I'm trying to keep it together and stay quiet so that you can tell your side and tell the information that you have. Because if I don't, I'm going to pipe up every 5 seconds and be like, and this is why white people. So I'm going to let you just, you do you.
It's just. I do want to talk about this though. With the twins that I was talking about earlier, Minnie and Mary Alice, they had a lawsuit obviously because they were like, this is really fucked up. You can't just be doing this to people. Mm-hmm. And it revealed that there was over 100,000 cases where women were being sterilized either without their knowledge or without their consent.
Yeah.
And it was again happening with Black, Latina, Indigenous. It was happening with those people specifically, which makes it horrible. And they would try to say like, oh well, we got consent before the procedures, and a lot of times they didn't. And there's actually an interview of the mom of a different, actually I can't remember if it was their mom or a different case that happened, where she was like, they handed me a paper and I put X. I don't know what I signed. Yeah, I didn't sign technically, but I put an X. Mm-hmm. And they still were able to do what they felt. Yeah. It's just it's terrible.
Yeah. No,
it's very terrible.
It's fucked up.
All right. So in the early 2000s, well, actually, there's this documentary that's called Belly of the Beast. It is on, I don't remember the name of the thing, but if you type in Belly of the Beast documentary, you'll be able to find it. It was at the Sundance Film Festival. It was a really compelling and revealing documentary, and it talks about the early 2000s and the sterilization of women in California and the prison systems. What they ended up finding out as they were going through their studies and their research was that that this had been a thing since the early 1900s, and they were finding that a lot of these women had been in these situations to cause them to become sterilized without their consent, a lot of them without their knowledge, and a lot of them were being forced to do it through coercion. The thing that was really crazy about this was that there were situations where these women would go in for a cough, then they'd be like, let's do a PAP. Yeah. Oh, my ankle hurts. Okay, that's cool. Let's do a PAP. Like, they would do these things. They would go in for a surgery for maybe like an appendectomy. And next thing you know, they've had a full hysterectomy. Yeah. And so that was happening a lot. to these women. And there was one lady in particular, her name was Kelly Dillon. And in this documentary, she's talking about her journey through this whole process and what happened and how it was discovered. She was 20 something when she was sterilized without her knowledge. She was having really bad pains. She went to the doctor. They performed the pap. They said, hey girl, you got some cysts, and all that. We'll take care of the cysts. No big deal. She signed a consent form that said, you can perform this surgery. Do not, pretty much, if you don't see cancer, don't touch shit else.
Yeah.
And they were just like, anyway, and they performed a hysterectomy. She was not even aware that this happened.
Yeah.
For a while, unaware. There was a lady who was she had been an advocate for prison systems and women and with their healthcare in these systems for a while. Her name is Cindy Chandler, I believe. And she had been, just having different cases and such for women incarcerated. And so she was contacted, and they ended up finding the records for Kelly and saw that they did do the hysterectomy, and that there was no cancer to be found in her body. And when she was obviously
experiment on us,
love to experiment, which makes it so hard because people always are trying to figure out, well, I don't understand why y'all don't go to the doctors and why y'all don't do this and why y'all don't trust the medical field because of shit like this.
Yes.
This isn't the first time.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be the last time.
No.
Because people of color, Black people, brown people, they always think that we're not real.
Yeah.
They don't think we can feel pain, so they think our pain tolerance, our threshold is higher. Mm-hmm. They think our skin is stronger, our bodies are tougher, and that we can take things and withstand things that other people cannot.
Yeah.
Which is not true. We're people.
Yeah.
We do the same things. We are great, so fair.
Yes.
But
I'm like, they're just jealous.
They're just jealous, and it's cool because I would be mad too if I sucked at everything.
Facts.
But it's crazy to think that they would just do these things and they would have these practices against women and just be like, well, it'll be fine. There's a big reason why people have the distrust in the medical field with doctors.
Absolutely.
Because these doctors were doing things just because they felt like it.
Yeah.
This Dr. Heinrich, he's one of the doctors that were performing all of these hysterectomies. He was performing hysterectomy after hysterectomy. I mean, like 30 to 40, like it was adding up. The thing that was crazy about it was these were being written off by the state. Mm-hmm. And he's getting a kickback for all these procedures that are taking place. None of which were with consent.
Yeah.
So he's, you have these situations and they're doing interviews. They do interviews with him at some point and they're talking about, they didn't interview him for this documentary, but they interviewed him at some point for something.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much like, the women come in and they love to get paps because, it's the only type of male touch that they get to have. He's like, sometimes they don't even come in here because they don't have anything wrong. They just want a pap.
So you're also a pervert. Okay. Love that for us. That is one of the reasons why I don't go to male gynecologists. I'm not going to lie to you. There's nothing wrong with male gynecologists. I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm sure all of them or some of them are great. I'm sure some of them are lovely. I'm sure there's some female doctors who are not, but I don't want to chance it. I'm not going to chance it.
That's fair.
Absolutely not. I'd rather have a female up in my coochie than a male any day.
I feel that. The thing with with Kelly is when she did awake from her surgery, she asked, specifically like, how did it go?
Yeah.
Is everything cool? Will I still be able to have kids? And the doctor was like, absolutely.
Love that.
He took out that whole woman uterus and ovaries and was like, yes, girl, you will absolutely be able to have kids.
Ooh, there's a special place in hell for that man. Yes. Okay. Because white people just be doing what they want to do when they want to do it. Just men in particular, because I'm not going to say white women don't have their own struggles. They do because they are a woman, but white men in particular, they just really be out here doing what they want to do whenever they want to do it.
To whoever
no
they
checks
want
and
to
balances. No checks and balances for them. Anywho's in.
It's just
okay. Yeah. You got a lot.
So Kelly is like noticing herself that she had this happen to her. She's now like, what the fuck? She's got her medical records. She's blown away. Even when they do the testing and all the stuff that was done, they were like, nothing was found.
Yeah.
You had some cysts, girl. You were fine other than that.
Yeah.
I just took it upon myself to do it. They found out, and she noticed that they would be on the yard and she would see young girls coming back and they were like doubled over in pain, or see, you know, somebody looked uncomfortable and they'd be like, hey, what happened, girl? And they'd be like, oh, they told me I had to get a hysterectomy, or they told me that I had to do this, or I had to get I get my tubes taken out or cut down or whatever. It was just happening.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's kind of odd. So then that started to bring up, hey, maybe we should look into this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they start looking into it, and they are finding that it is a lot of women that this is happening to. Mind you, this is in California. That's it. That this documentary specifically talks about.
Yeah.
California is it.
Yeah.
So they start finding out all this stuff about, like, yes, these women are being sterilized, and a lot of them are being sterilized not of their own free will.
Yeah. They
were being asked if they wanted to have a hysterectomy while under anesthesia. When they could not consent.
Yeah.
The doctor and some of his staff felt that because they were in the system and they were incarcerated, that they didn't technically have the right to give consent because they were, anyway, that they couldn't give consent because they were incarcerated. They didn't feel like they deserved that. They didn't feel like they had any rights. The thing that was really fucked up about this doctor was he felt that, and had been heard saying this, that he felt that it was better that he sterilized them to save money rather than having them use welfare later on when they got out. For women that kept being repeat offenders and kept coming back and forth into the system, he decided it was his right to sterilize all of these women because they should not be reproducing. He took it upon himself to do this to these women without their knowledge or without their consent.
Yep.
Or they just flat out forced them to do these things.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because when it comes to doctors, you want to be able to trust their medical advice. You want to be able to think that they have your best interest at heart, and it's extremely unfortunate, and that causes a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
With how you react to doctors, how you handle doctors. I have so much medical trauma. It is insane. Yeah. And I didn't go through half of the shit. A lot of the stuff was with my consent, and it still was fucked up.
Yes, 100%.
I have a lot of trauma when it comes to the medical field in general. It's just so fucked up. Okay. So they end up doing they end up collecting a bunch of evidence and getting different testimonies, and Kelly and Cindy and a couple of other folks that are on her team decide to take all of this stuff to court to try to get some type of I don't want to say compensation, but some type of like awareness about it, and also to have people pay for what they did to her. Yeah, some justice. Some goddamn justice needed to be dealt. They ended up suing the CDCR, and the courts were in favor of the doctors. Yeah, it makes sense. They didn't see that they had any wrongdoing in any of the things that they had done. So much so, sometimes in court cases where they're like, not guilty, but, this. Yeah. They didn't even do that. They were like, they're free and clear. I don't understand the problem. Yeah, these women should be. So then it ends up, you got people that are investigating this stuff because now it's a thing and it's coming out and people are finding out about it. And because this is in the early 2000s, like mid 2000s, 2008, 2010, you have social media and people are talking about it on social media and it's getting out there, and a lot of people were like, yeah, these women should have no right to have kids. That's crazy. Yeah, they should be getting sterilized. And you know what's crazy? Back to what I was saying. People believed that this should be happening. Yeah. That's the thing that fucks me up when talking about this in general, is because people actually really believe that this should be happening. Yeah. They were 100%. The population was 100% on board with this. Yeah, there was a divide, but there was a lot of people that were like, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, for black and brown people to not be able to have kids. Yeah, get those them off the street. We shouldn't have that. The poors can't be out here. They can't be out here, and it's like, and it's really sad because in the women that were in those prisons were like, yeah, we noticed that it was only us. Like it was me and my friends. It's 2 black girls that are talking about it. It's a girl that's Latina. She's like, yeah, and they knew like Susie Q or in the back. She been cool. Yeah, she done gone to the doctor a couple times. She ain't had no issues. Ain't had no hysterectomy. Yeah, she was fine. Yeah, and so it's a very sad thing to see because and Kelly said this very perfectly in one of her closing statements later on. She's like, it was sad to see that I was being targeted, and not just me, but people like me. She said, I didn't know if it was because I was a woman. I didn't know if it was because I was black, or if it was because I was incarcerated. And in this situation, she said it was for all three.
Yeah, it was.
It was for all three.
All three.
So sad. So they had the doctor I had mentioned earlier, Dr. Heinrich. He had been doing some pretty crazy things because women come in there pregnant and they have their babies. He was sterilizing them after they had babies.
Yeah.
He would have women who were forced to have C-sections so that they could get sterilized.
Yeah. Yes.
And again, asking these women to get their consent while heavily sedated from having a C-section. Yeah. And one lady actually gives her a recount of it, and she's like, I was like cut open, and homeboy's asking me, I mean, she didn't say homeboy, but homeboy's asking me if I want to be sterilized. And she was like, I don't even know what I said.
Yeah.
She said, in fact, she got a paper to sign, and she said she didn't sign it.
Yeah.
And still, she was sterilized.
Yeah.
Even still.
Yeah.
This doctor had a lady that was giving birth, and he not only caused the woman to be severely deformed from the way she was treated during her delivery, the child was also severely deformed, so much so that child died.
Yeah. But nothing was wrong. But the courts deemed them fit doctors, and it was all okay.
Because in his head, he was doing it for the good of the country,
the good of the state.
It's
the good of the people.
It's just really sad. It's very, very sad. Oh, and then so there gets to be a point, and I forgot what year it was, so forgive me. There gets to be a point where now this is known, things are happening. I think it was probably in like the 70s-ish or something like that. So homeboy is doing all of these things, and it's illegal. Yeah. This stuff has been banned for a while. Yeah. It was banned it was like unless it was needed unless it was needed or if it was requested. Yeah. But then I think at a point they were like, absolutely not. You cannot do sterilizations at all. Yeah. I think they had decided on that. And he was doing them anyway. Yeah. Just cause. Yeah. And one of his staff, who they kept anonymous, she was like, I didn't know it was illegal. Yeah. The thing that's really crazy about that is, okay, staff member, you don't know it's illegal. You're at the bottom level. Fair. You don't know. He himself was like, he wasn't really sure. He didn't think he was doing anything wrong. Yeah. And you know what? For those levels, okay, maybe you didn't know, but there is a whole medical board that you have to go through in order to have these procedures done. Any type of surgical medical procedure that needs to be done in those systems are required to go through a process with the medical board. Yeah. Which is like a couple of people. Yeah. And all these people were just like, anyway, whatever. So, yeah, we'll keep on keeping on. Yeah. Like we don't want them to reproduce. Who cares? Yeah. Like, and it was really sad because, there was so many things that were supposed to protect these women who were incarcerated, and all of the things that were put into place failed them. Yeah. Okay. This is just so fucking sad. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to cry. I just know there's going to be quite a few moments where I'm absolutely going to cry while talking about this, because it is just horrible what they did to my people.
It's like, we have always had to fight so hard to just exist in this country. Just exist. Not try to excel, not try to do anything wild, just exist. A lot of times mind our own black ass business. And each and every time somebody was out here doing some fuck shit to us just because they felt like they could and they had the right to do so. Just because. That man had no right to do that to those women. No right. Nope. He didn't even give them the option. This lady, granted, she wanted to have kids in her future. She wanted to be able, she had kids already. She had 2 children. She felt like, I've been incarcerated this whole time. I want to, I do want to have a family. I want to find that. I want to be able to reproduce more kids. And that right was taken away from her by somebody who just felt like he could do that just because. Yeah. And he did that to so many women. And some of these women didn't have kids. Yeah. So now you have completely taken that right from them. They're not thinking about the psychological effects of that. The thing that is so rough about this whole situation, and I'll get back to what I was saying. The thing that's so rough about this situation is that even for me, who chose to have a hysterectomy, chose to do that. Yeah. Still had to deal with how I felt mentally from it. Yeah. Having that right ripped away from you without even your knowledge or feeling like you were forced to do so.
Absolutely.
That mental strain has to be insane. It has to be something very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
You have to really, and not everybody maybe goes through this, but for me, it did. It made me think about, redefining what womanhood looked like for me.
Yeah.
It made me think about, dating, how dating was going to look like for me, especially because at the time I was a little bit younger.
Yeah.
What that looks like for me, because people in my age group want to have kids and want to do all those things. What does it look like for me?
Yeah.
Will I not be desirable by people because I can't have, like, all of these things that you go through. And I chose to do this to myself.
Yeah.
And you have women out here who were just forced to do these things or not even know that they had these things done to them. I can't even imagine. The thing that was really crazy about this is they didn't even know how many women this happened to.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out in what situation this happened to them.
Yeah.
They couldn't determine if it was women that were having birth. They couldn't tell if it was women that were having hysterectomies just because they needed them. They didn't know if it was because women were just having hysterectomies because they were just deciding to do that because the doctor chose to do that. They didn't know if they went in for a fucking knee surgery and ended up having a hysterectomy. They just didn't know, and they could not determine that because there was so many people and there was not enough documentation of it to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Yep.
They just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Something that I did want to mention in regards to eugenics. Something that I wanted to mention about eugenics in America, which I kind of forgot to mention because this is actually really important. 32 states had made it legal back in the day. They had made it legal, and we're totally cool with it during that time frame. Now that these systems are in place and they had banned it in the, like I said, in the 70s, late 70s, for that to even occur, there were still masses and masses of women still being sterilized up until 2013.
Yeah.
In 2021, there was legislature that was put into place for these people that were affected by these victims, to be compensated for the things that were done to them. They were trying to get back to outside of just women that were incarcerated, but women that this was done to from the 1900s on.
Yeah.
They were trying to get all that information to compensate all of these people.
Yeah.
That had been cruelly mutilated.
Yeah. And
it's very sad. It is very sad. Compensation, cool. Okay. Whatever. That doesn't erase the fact that they will not be able to do these things that they wanted to do. Yes, there's there's adoption, and there's things that you can do and things like that.
Well, we might not even be able to do IVF anymore. So a lot of our options are being taken away.
And it's very sad. Mm-hmm. It's very sad because they were just unaware.
Yeah.
They were unaware, and it was literally just because people felt like they were inferior to white people.
Yeah.
And again, we understand that white women were also affected. We're not denying that. However, it was not because they were white. It just wasn't.
No.
It just wasn't.
It was because they were poor.
It was just because they were poor. That's it. All of the people who were part of these sterilizations of these women in this prison system, all of the people, all the doctors, all of the staff, none of them were held liable for any of this. Still to this day, none of them have been liable for it.
Nope.
Everybody still felt that, we hear what you're saying, but they had boards and they had people coming up to speak, and they had letters written from different people that were in those facilities. They had so much information. They had so much backing and so much people that were in support of the need to make sure that there was harsher law so this wouldn't happen, because they should be protected.
Yeah.
And yet there was still from one of the medical boards, which I can't remember which medical board it is, but it's whatever the board is, it's a very tiny percentage of those people who work in those prison systems.
Yeah.
Tiny percent. So this person that they sent to speak on half of the board, this lady, she was like, well, we should be able to do that, because in those situations that, it's dangerous for the mother, or, whatever happens, or if there's cancer, if there's things like that, we should be able to sterilize them. Yeah. Fought hard for it.
Yeah.
So hard that they were like, the doctors are not at fault.
Yep.
No fault. No fault.
It tends to be what happens here.
So the documentary is very informative. There's a lot of stuff in it. There again, it was just in California, so the topic was for California prison systems, and one area specifically. It was just one prison specifically, but this is something that was happening all over the place, all over the states. It was happening all over, and because of what was happening, and the suits and the discoveries of all the wrongdoings that were happening in these prisons, a lot of other states were like, holy shit, let's look to see what we're going to do. We do maybe need to look a little bit harder at the medical in the prison systems. 3 states was like, you know what, this is our bad for real.
Yeah,
we gonna give the victims money.
Yeah,
this is our bad. This is absolutely our bad. Virginia, North Carolina, and California. It has happened in almost every state, just about. Maybe not just about, let me not say that. It has happened in other states.
32.
But those are the only 3.
Yeah.
That were like, yeah, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We're sorry. You do deserve some compensation.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, screw you. We did what we needed to do.
And we're going to keep it moving.
And we're going to keep it moving because...
And then we're going to wipe it from history and we're never going to talk about it.
And we're never going to talk about it. And you're just going to have to deal.
Yeah. Yep.
It is, again, a lot of reasons why Black people and brown people have a huge distrust for medical system.
Yeah.
The profession overall. It's one of the biggest reasons. We have been experimented on for years and years and years and years. We just have. And the fact that we can't even be protected outside of the prison system, inside the prison system, there's nowhere that we can actually be protected.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Not medically.
Not medically.
I mean not anything really, but
yeah, we can't be protected.
But definitely not medically.
Medically, we just can't. They just don't see the need.
Yeah.
Even still. It's very heartbreaking. It's very unfortunate. It is maddening. Just this whole topic pisses me off so much.
So much.
There's a lot of things that piss me off so much, and a lot of the things that piss me off are all rooted in racism.
Yeah. Same.
When people are really just trying to mind their business.
Yeah, and just live. Some people just trying to survive.
Some people are just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And some people just felt the need to say, you're unfit, you're inferior to me, and you don't deserve to be considered a person.
Yep.
That's a very big slap in the face to somebody.
Yeah.
Especially somebody who has been over, centuries told that they were nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what's so crazy? It's like, that people don't give a fuck about women. They specifically don't give a fuck about Black and brown women. But like, this is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for real.
Yep.
All these places are having to re-look at what's going on in their places because they're like, oh shit, is this really happening?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like they had this lady. She was one of the, I think she was the senator or she was something. She was like, I had no idea this even was going on.
Yeah.
She was blown away.
Yeah.
And she was like, we have to do something about this. We cannot leave this alone.
Yeah.
They had board meetings. They had, and the people on the boards were even like, y'all have been doing what to these women?
Yeah.
They were so blown away by this that, and it was so funny because it was men on some of these boards, and they were like, we are allowing an audit of all of the stuff that has happened in these prisons, but we need to, this is main priority. Put this at the top of the list so this can be done immediately.
Yep. At least there was somebody. At least there was someone.
Nobody listened to them when they said something was going on.
Nope.
Nobody cared. Nobody believed them. They tried to bring up this girl because Kelly was the first girl to talk about it and want to do a lawsuit. And they tried to bring up the fact that she was incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to bring up the fact that, the reason why she was incarcerated. The reason why she was incarcerated is because she was being beaten by her man.
Yeah.
And she kept trying to get protection and safeties and things like that. And nobody wanted to protect her. And so what she decided to do was protect herself, which landed her in prison.
Yeah.
And they wanted to bring that up. Because, well, you killed somebody, so you don't deserve to have rights.
Yep.
If you would have protected her like you should have done, this would have never happened.
Yeah.
You failed this girl so many times. You failed her in life. You failed her in the prison system. You failed her after she got out. You just failed her. You didn't give her options. You didn't give her help. You didn't do anything. You just let her be and have to take matters into her own hands and then punish her for having to do the best choice for her and her kids.
Yep.
I'm done. Sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to apologize. You say what you need to say. And I think all of this should go into the episode.